everybody. I am joined by Jeff Goldberg today, who is Director of Product Management for Click Cloud. Jeff, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Kurt.
So you and I got talking the other day, and we got talking about something that I haven't brought up kind of on this whole video chat thing yet, and in my interviews, which is embedded analytics. Before we jump into that, I know a passion of yours. Just give me a little background on you and your role at Click, and I think that'll kind of propel us into talking about embedded analytics.
Absolutely. So I've been involved in the Click ecosystem for almost 14 years, and it started off as an OEM partner of ClickView. I worked for a software company that had purchased a license with ClickView to integrate it into their software. It was an applicant tracking system for hiring and candidate profiles for posting jobs. And I fell in love with the product immediately. I met with my sales reps when I was an OEM partner. I said, the next time I have to go find a job, I know exactly where I'm going to go. And sure enough, 3.5 years after making that statement, I got the opportunity to join the OEM pre-sales team at Click, and that was in 2014. So I worked for Click for 4.5 years, and then I took a 2-year break. I went and explored product marketing in the low-code application development space, and then came back as a product manager in 2020 to Click to focus on APIs, security, integration, and OEM, because that was what I was doing when I left in pre-sales and had always wanted to move into product management. So to be able to get that opportunity, I was really, really psyched and really happy to come back to work for a platform and a product that I absolutely love. It changed my life. So to be able to give back to that has been really, really great. I was grateful to come back to Click because the culture really fits me. The open and straightforward and transparent nature that you can operate, and the passion that the people who work here have for the product, it just it it makes it really easy to come to work every day. And I truly appreciate that. I it doesn't mean that there aren't days where you're like, you know, happy, sad, frustrated, whatever, but you can always wake up in the morning, plant your feet on the ground, and feel like everybody's going to do uh, what they can to provide a positive experience to our customers, operate with positive intent with each other, and work with noble purpose. And I couldn't ask for anything else from a company culture. So I think being able to get that perspective by leaving, to know that this is where I really felt I belonged, and I've been able to uh, really flourish in a product management role, which I'd applied to other places to become a product manager, but because I didn't have the previous experience, it was very hard to get in. But because I had the Click experience and the institutional knowledge from
Mhm.
being in the OEM space, where you very much have to be a product manager when you're working in the OEM world. Um, or you're working with other product managers, you get a really good feel of how to collect requirements and those sorts of things. So to be able to come back and work in the space, it's been great, and the company's been incredibly supportive of my my second wind here. So
We want to get into talking about embedded analytics. People have ideas and thoughts on what embedded analytics means. And a lot of that is based off of what it's meant for the last 5 to 10 years. Can you share a bit about what's going on in embedded analytics now versus what it meant 5 to 10 years ago?
yeah, about when you think about the past, a lot of how embedded anything from a software perspective was considered is it was like an OEM, right?
Mhm,
And when
mhm,
we talk
mhm.
about an OEM, the best comparable is like a car, right? So you buy a car, it's got a Bose stereo system or a Harman stereo system
Well, we'll stick
to
with Bose. I
name.
have a soft spot for Bose. I have a
Yeah,
soft
but
spot.
Harman's a customer, so um,
Oh, okay, good call. All right, we switch. Let's switch to Harman. But Bose, if
yeah,
you're listening, you should be a customer. because I used to work for
Exactly.
you and I'd love for that to happen. So,
Yes. So Bose or Harman, right? They'll receive a specification from an automobile manufacturer for a new design or a new car, and then they'll contract uh those companies to develop a stereo system that has the proper audio acoustics and that sort of thing. And you'll see the those products then get integrated into the product development and manufacturing of that car. And so one of the it's usually an upcharge is that you can get your car with a Bose stereo system or with a Harman Kardon high fidelity system. And it's built by Harman Kardon or it's built by Bose, but it's specific for that car. That's what OEM has traditionally meant in the world of software is that in the past is that you have a piece of software, and this is the case for me when I first started working with Click as an OEM partner. We didn't have the capacity to do analytics or reporting or any of those things. We didn't have the resources, we didn't have the talent, we didn't have the uh, distinctive competency. So what did we do? We bought Click and we integrated it into our software. And that is the classic OEM use case, taking what I like to say is taking our stuff, Click, and
mhm.
putting it into other people's stuff, right?
Yeah. And there's
Now,
still a lot of that that goes on right now. We have a whole OEM department, and there's a lot of stuff for people listening that you're probably using or potentially seeing click that you have no idea you're using or seeing click.
absolutely right. When and so the OEM business continues to be a strong driver, but the stories and the use cases have shifted a little bit in that time frame, right? Where it's and that's why you hear terms like embedded SaaS or embedded analytics and not so much OEM because
Mhm.
it's really leaning more into the integration and the use cases that are available versus well, I just need to take a piece of software, stick it into another piece of software, put my brand on it, and be done, right? And not only that, from a software company needing another piece of software, but enterprise customers and even customers in the mid-market and small to medium business where they have extranet portals or they're dealing with partner or supplier relationships where they need to build reporting or analytics capabilities to support those end users that are leveraging your product, and it could be a physical product, right? We have a customer in the logistics space that is building portals for uh, their their partners and their suppliers who need to go to their website to understand what's going on in the shipping process of different parts that are moving from A to B. And so there's embedded analytics opportunities there as well. And I think that that's where some of the focus has shifted because it's not just that there's specific software companies that need things, but every company is a software company. And now what we're seeing is it's not just about embedded analytics as, okay, let me create a dashboard for you or reporting or visuals. There's a whole new world of possibilities that are opening up in the world.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And on my chat the other week with or several weeks ago now with Emil from our kind of Blender IO team, he said one of the same similar lines. Every company is now a software company, given all that they have to do. So it's how do we make that happen? How do we make that easy for people to engage with? One of the ways that I've talked about embedded analytics as a seller, as a piece to things is people buy a tool and we get all excited about they bought a tool, but now the real work begins, right? Because
Mhm.
the true and real measure of success with Click is adoption, right? You can buy a tool, you can buy a lot of licenses or capacity or whatever you want to do, and that's great. But if it isn't adopted and it's not used, it's not really worth much, right? So if people aren't using it, then what's the point of having the tool? Because Excel is way cheaper. Let's just own it. Excel is way cheaper. And we still, in the space that I'm in, I see a lot of customers saying Excel has been free, but it is a mind-numbing thing and taking so many hours to bring it all together. But when we go to embedded analytics, because Click makes it easy to embed really anywhere, and you hit on a couple of those already, this can really change the game and drive adoption. Could you talk about how the embeddability into workflows and more makes it easy for new end users to get a taste of Click and have it become a part of their normal day?
Absolutely. There's two ways that I can think of, and you mentioned it just briefly when you were talking about your conversation with Emil. Emil's product being application automation is highly dependent on APIs, right? And this
Mhm,
idea that,
mhm, mhm.
when we talk about embedded, and this is why it moves beyond analytics and it moves beyond OEM, is it's really about the APIs and the integration points. So the first thing is the APIs and then the interfaces that are available for customers to take this take the ability to bring these experiences into these software products. But the second piece to your point, and how do you expand adoption once you have these APIs available to you, is, well, where are you going to put it? And what it boils down to is, mm, the average enterprise now, and this isn't this, I can find the source, but it was a survey that I saw from 2022. The average enterprise now has 130 SaaS applications in its enterprise portfolio.
Wow.
And if you consider that you have employees in your workforce who need access to analytics and information to help drive decisions and to take action within one of those 130 applications, wouldn't it make sense for you to take some of that data, those analytics, those visuals, those capabilities, whatever they might be, and the APIs that are available, and to integrate them into the experiences where people spend their day? Because you're a salesperson. You don't spend your day inside of Excel. You spend your day inside of Salesforce. But that doesn't reduce your requirement to have analytics and data at your fingertips to help you determine
Mhm.
the converse the the right conversation to have with a specific customer, right? If you're dealing with engagement scores and hug rates and all of these things inside of Salesforce, you want to be able to have that at your fingertips, not just at a number level and a KPI, but maybe you want to see the trend, because maybe what you need to assess is, you've been trying to break into a customer for a couple of weeks, or a number of weeks, and you're not seeing the trend go up in terms of engagement based on all of the things that you're sending them. You keep talking to them, they keep telling you that they're interested, but they don't keep clicking on any of the things that you're sending to them to give them more information. Well, if you have that information inside of Salesforce, the next time you go back, because you're like, oh, I haven't heard from Bob in a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
If you can see that you're not you're not getting what you need from Bob, well, then you can go talk to Terry, because Terry's engagement scores over the last 4 weeks are off the chart, and you're
Yeah.
much more likely to close a deal with Terry than you are with Bob. So bringing the analytics closer to where people work, that's where I think you see the opportunity to drive adoption. Yes, it's very, very important for creators and a certain set of consumers to be able to go into the main interface of an analytics platform and be able to have access to create and consume. But for the large percentage of people where you're competing for that attention span across
Mm.
130 applications, it embedded as a customer who's purchased an analytics platform, you who wants to make use of that analytics platform, you would be remiss to
Mm.
ignore the possibilities and opportunities you have to expand the efficiency, the uh the well, hold on a second. To expand the efficiency, the time to value across those other complementary applications that you're bringing analytics into. And that's how you can really extend the analytics, the usefulness and utility of analytics through these embedded capabilities that we provide.
Yeah, as I've talked about it with some customers about adoption, and I've talked about it with others even setting up, is the buzzword has been for a while is self-service, right? And I always ask, there's self-service. What's your plan for training? Because you want people to self-serve, but without training, they're not going to do anything. And then how do you put something in front of them that's well built, looks good? Because again, if it's not well built and it doesn't look good, nobody's going to really pay attention to it. But do put something in front of them and embed it as a way to do it that drives curiosity to say, this is cool. I just found something out. How do I get more? And as a BI director, somebody trying to drive adoption to this, that's exactly the sweet spot. Where do I put it in a place that it's well done, that has people say, this was super helpful. I wonder if I could do this with it, so that you start to see that trend go up and people come back and keep asking for more access and more things. And I heard Bob got it and he's doing all this cool stuff with it. How do I do cool stuff with it?
Yeah.
So
I,
that's awesome. Go ahead.
I think you make a good point. The value proposition is about isn't about self-service, in my opinion. It's about you recognize that you have to be data driven as an organization. And so the utility of self-service isn't in your ability to build your own dashboard. The utility in self-service is your ability to have access to that data and information and insight wherever, whenever you need it, so that you can advance and improve the position of whether it's your own small business or a large enterprise. Uh, that's that is what, at least from my point of view, where self-service comes in, because self-service is every time I have to go use an application, right? I use Miro all the time for brainstorming, and the utility for me is that when people leave comments or they make changes in my Miro reports, I get messages in Teams and Slack that tell me that those changes are happened. So they become calls to action for me to go
Mm.
ahead and come back into Miro. Now, it's a little bit different with analytics because, again, using the Salesforce example, right? If I'm in Salesforce and I'm trying to plan my day out for who I'm going to contact and who I'm going to try to close that day, I need insights that I can explore
Mm.
inside of Salesforce, so that I don't have to jump around to multiple places, because that's where I pick up the fractional seconds of productivity that I need, that makes the difference between when I pick up the phone and make the call, I get someone and I actually get to talk to them versus getting their voicemail. That's the beautiful thing about embedded analytics is, and in particular, embedded analytics with Click, is that we have a superior analytics platform, or data and analytics platform for that matter, for building pipelines and exploring analytics so that you can, so that you can discover insights and take action on them immediately from end to end. And when you consider all of those capabilities brought together in an embedded context, meaning taking all of those things and making them available inside of those productivity applications or those business applications or those enterprise applications that you use every day,
Mhm.
that's what we're talking about. So it's more than just having, a solution that has a group of intents, as important as that may be, right? It's the end to end, and what we are able to provide from a creation perspective, and then where you can actually take that solution and put it where your end users need it. That's I think one of the the key sweet spots, or value, value that we bring to bear with all of the APIs and capabilities that we offer for leveraging our platform.
Talk about the future you see in embedded. Maybe things we're working on or that you're dreaming about. And I know there's only so much you could say, but like cast some vision for where you see things headed.
I'll give you my take, so that I'm not divulging any
Trade secrets,
secrets.
right? Yeah, yeah.
But where, I mean, I'd be silly not to say the special words, artificial intelligence.
Right,
But it's
right.
true, right? Someone reached out to me recently because we just released a new embedded library at Click called Click Embed, which really makes it much easier to embed analytics and in fact embed pretty much any user interface that we make available in our cloud will at some point be available through this library. It's really, really cool. And someone reached out to me. He's like, is there any like artificial intelligence benefit to that? And I was like, well, no, was my kind of my first answer.
Right.
But but this is where I come back to my previous statements where when we're talking about embedded, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about visual analytics, which is what it's always been, and that's still really important. But when it comes to like artificial intelligence and when it comes to what our platform approach to embedding is, right? And I touched on this earlier. We have a platform that is capable of performing a number of different jobs to be done that can be taken in isolation or can be combined together to a solution. And I think what you're going to see more of from an embedded analytics perspective is it may still be called embedded analytics, but it's going to be influenced or nuanced or it's going to be enriched and nurtured by a number of additional capabilities, artificial intelligence being one of them, right? We've got an improved search capability that's coming out soon, and um, it's uh, it's going to take on some of that kind of behavior where the search bar itself helps you find things inside of your Click Cloud uh, landscape and your tenant. And you're going to be able to embed that. So if you're looking to create a portal that you want to that drives people to a single pane of glass that not only provides information from other enterprise applications that you have, but also allows you to uh, integrate into our search capability because that will be API based and visual based. You could embed our search. You can embed the API that uses search so that it makes it easier for your end users to not only find content inside of your other places in your portal, but also to be able to leverage the content that's actually sitting in your Click Cloud tenant as part of the search results, right? That's one example. From an artificial intelligence perspective, we start the obvious uh, uh, the obvious use cases GPT's chatbots, right? And
Right.
things like ChatGPT, and certainly with the release of their new ChatGPT store, right? Um, Being able to bring and train a model on a significant amount of information around your click objects and that sort of thing would be interesting, or really anything. So I see in general embedded becoming, well, I have this chatbot and I actually need to stick it into a mobile app, or I've built this large language model that I use across multiple applications that then surface an experience to an end user somehow. I think this is where embedded overlaps with integration, and what you're going to see is that embedded slash integration and analytics and data just
Yeah.
continue to overlap more and more because um, I said it earlier, 130 apps, it's hard to navigate that. And so we're gonna try to consolidate it. How do we consolidate it? We consolidate it through integration and embedded interfaces that bring little pieces of functionality that we need from all of the different apps we have
Right.
into one place.
Yep.
So it's going to be a number of other things like that. But yeah, I think when we were prepping for this discussion, I mentioned, my wife was complaining about how she was working with some application, and she was like, I just wish that it would, tell me what the trends were for this period of time so that it could just, you know, recommend a decision to me, or it could just tell me what I should do. And the thing is that she's looking at the data in one solution,
Mhm.
but she's also looking at the application, which is the source app, the application of the source data. And it's like, okay, she's frustrated. She's not just frustrated because she's not getting the trend she needs. She's frustrated because she has to keep bouncing back and forth to deal with these things. And so the 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 use cases of the what, I think, will just continue to expand, where it can be, almost anything can and will be embedded. And that's certainly what, I think we've been preparing for with Click Embed, is to make it possible for our customers to embed whatever part of our platform they need into the experiences and solutions that our customers and our partners are trying to build, and really trying to make that as easy as possible through low code and no code tools to facilitate that.
Thanks for sharing all of that and that dream and the hope that's there. I think you're spot on with what we're hearing and what we're seeing in the marketplace. And I remember some of the customer stories from Click World this last year. Now going to be Click Connect coming up June 3rd through 5th. There you go. There's my
There you go.
shameless
Nice
plug.
plug. Yeah.
Like there's always that of the superior of Click. We had this tool. We came and said we want to do this, and these tools said we can't do that, and Click said we can tackle that. And then the ability to, just like you said, take these pieces that they need and figure out how to put them into it to make things possible. And then the vision of the generative AI piece is just phenomenal. Some days it's a little scary, and some days it's extremely exciting to know what it's moving so fast. Where are we going to be 3 years from now with this, and how is it going to change life and make things easier?
So when I was in an earlier lifetime, I remember there was this new invention, and it was called Google. And we shamelessly started typing everything into Google, um, really just with reckless abandon, and actually not even caring how much we were telling Google everything about us. And once people were like, "Oh my gosh, you're worried about all of the things that you should be worried about what you're telling Google. Google knows way too much about you." Well, at that point, you're just like, "Yeah, but it helps me so much. I've accepted that." I think um I think with AI and generative AI and the chatbots and all the things that are capable, you look at how quickly um all of that technology is maturing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's amazing. For Google, that kind of ubiquity took like a few years, which in and of itself at the time was just like
Right, 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 right.
the last 18 months. um it is I'm no authority on anything, but dare I say, it's like, if you think about industrial revolution
Yes.
and what a change in the world that made. This really is that kind of change. And so you can embrace it, or you can be left in the dust, because I mean, yeah, that's true. You should be you should have some fear, but you've got to figure out a way to accept and face that fear, and accept and get to a point of acceptance. Otherwise, it it it's gonna eat you alive. You don't need to print that, but that's just my take.
No, I like that take because I was going to go back and say you're right that there in all of these things that we do. I mean, let's personal life to, professional life and all that stuff. A healthy fear is a good thing. It keeps you in check. There should be a healthy fear when you're thinking about having kids of, am I going to be a good parent? Right? But it is a healthy fear that leads to great things. And I think the best parents are the ones that fear doing it and like are figuring it out and know that they don't know everything. And I think that keeps us in this balance of like the good stuff of not letting it run wild is figuring out how to have that healthy fear and running with it and doing the next best thing and watching that scale. And there's always advancements happening. And you're right. Are we going to get on and leverage it? Are we going to embrace it or are we going to completely fear and it's going to leave us in the dust? And in some things, people are going to be removed from positions because they're choosing to not adapt to it. So will you take the step? Will you invest it? Will you invest it with some healthy fear and caution, but go after it?
Well, and that's the point. Constant reinvention.
Yes,
You've got to be willing to reinvent.
that's good. That
Absolute
was
pleasure
good.
speaking with you, Kurt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jeff, thanks so much for speaking with me, taking the time. I have a feeling we will chat again as things continue to come out. But thank you so much. What do you got going on? Is there stuff people following you on LinkedIn? Where's the best place to connect with you and get into the mind of Jeff Goldberg?
Oh, I don't do social media.
Oh, okay. Well, so don't follow him then. There you
Um,
go.
I'm hoping that I can get more active on LinkedIn, but yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. Mostly a follower, not much of a contributor, but from time to time I'll chime in with a hot take.
Well, Jeff, thanks again for being here. I really enjoyed our time. And well, let's do something else. I love it.